when it comes to CMF design. The concept of the future, the electric, I mean, it does have a very, very tangible impact on what we are doing in terms of CMF. And right now, this stage is an absolute flux. There is absolute mayhem around in this field, because mainly because right now sustainability is at the center of all the discussions, but the expectations of premiumness, premium look and feel, the durability, and of course cost effectiveness have still not gone by.
This is Audio Gyan, and I am your host Kedar Nimkar. Welcome to a deep dive into the minds of luminaries from the Indian creative world. Starting off from like a ground zero question, like who according to you is a automobile designer, right? Have you could you tell us a little bit about what are the sub disciplines? You especially deal with colors, material, and finish. So tell us a little bit about it. What goes in when you are like a CMF person, and any other sub disciplines that you could tell us about.
Yeah, so I think color, material, finish. I mean, I am a color material finish designer at Maruti. So uh, it basically refers to the aesthetic and the tactile aspects of automotive, which also includes elements like paint, fabric, plastic, textures, patterns, lightings, for again for both interior and exterior. So this is one of these specialities which might be the most far reaching or the widest scope it has, but it is very familiar. It is very, very familiar. And as a CMF designer, the basic responsibility is to incorporate the brand and the product identity through the use of color, finish, and materials. So that is the basic aim. uh, but the most important thing is that through these things people tend to connect emotionally with the product. So that's what makes it important. And the interior and exterior, the aesthetics, we also help to level up the performance of the automotive through the use of correct materials. So I think that's what makes this particular field in automotive design a very important and a very emotionally connected to the customer. So yeah, that's how I would describe the specialty that I am working in.
And what all other sub-disciplines have you been sort of part of, or have been interacting, or generally from your knowledge? Um, I did a one interview with Satya Seelan from Ashok Leyland, and yeah, there's 3D modeling, there's like actual materials, there's testing. It's a wide spectrum of sub-disciplines, but where all design is kind of very deeply integrated.
I think, yeah, it's it all comes together. The modeling is there, the designing part is there, the sketching part is there, the material innovation part is there.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of subdivisions in automotive design, and CMF is just a part of it. So starting from the sketch, the conceptualization, to the modeling, the clay modeling, the cast modeling, and then it comes to the the touch and feel of the product. So where the actually, that's what the customer sees. They don't see what goes behind, in the getting the whole product right, and there's a lot of testing involved. So I mean, it's a culmination of all these processes, which leads to the final product.
Cool. And yeah, so how does like one grow in your like a ladder, right? Like you said, there are these subdivisions, but is it a linear flow, or is it like deeper going specialization? Like assume you joined as a CMF junior designer and then became like a senior group lead. How does like someone gets into it, and then what does a career ladder look like in a very broad sense?
So when I had joined, uh, Maruti Suzuki had just, like, the studio was very young at that time. So usually, as an automotive designer, you start as a designer, which is a junior designer, and then you step up as a project lead or group lead, and then eventually you start managing the entire portfolio of the brand. So that's how the growth is. And with each step, as you're growing, the complexity of the product in hand also increases. So you have, like, you start with the little changes, like the minor changes are there. Then you come up with the full model changes, or a completely new concept, and then you have the concept car. So the complexity of the product keeps changing at every level. So, as a group lead, once you are at the position of a group lead, there is an additional challenge of also formulating strategies for the entire brand.
Hmm.
So, entire portfolio in the brand, and also the upcoming products and the concepts. So that's how the criticality of the role changes over time. And this is
When
this is common with each and every specialization in automotive, whether it is interior, exterior, or CMF. This is the path that usually a designer takes.
Got it. But I mean, I don't know whether it's allowed for you to tell more details, but is there, like, could you give an example? For example, like, the way I'm imagining is Wagonar hai, and then you deal with all lines of Wagonar only and never get into, say, Swift. Or you look at like Swift, Wagonar, and everything in terms of CMF or in terms of that role.
No, no, it is actually, I mean, when I say that we have to take care of the entire portfolio, so that means if the brand is offering, suppose, 9 models, we are taking care of the CMF of all the 9 models. And that's how
Right.
you build the strategy, what the brand stands for, and what the color and material of the particular model should stand for, depending on each and every model concept. So, as
Hmm.
a CMF lead, we are responsible for the entire portfolio, be it Alto, be it Swift, or be it the the higher price models like the Jimny or the Francs and Grand Vitara. So
Hmm.
that's the entire portfolio. And with
Correct.
each model, the kind of the target customer changes. So the kind of detailing has to be in line with what the target customer needs, in line with what the brand stands for. So that's how it is. It's not only specific to one model, and it's not only specific to only the interior or the exterior. It includes everything.
Everything. Yeah, that seems very empowering because, like, how typically big these teams are, like in Maruti.
Usually the team size is around 10 to 12.
Oh, okay.
So, but we are a growing studio, so we are in the process of growing the teams as well.
Very interesting. So, yeah, like this 10 to 12 designers will like look across all the offerings that Maruti does in India,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
that's how you calibrate like higher end ko, like whatever, like thoda mehenga paint hai, and then I'm
Yes,
just like
yes. So,
making
I
it dumb,
mean,
but yeah.
yeah, that's how it is, because since the customer is different, the brand communication for the each and every model is different. So that's
Hmm.
how we have to differentiate. But eventually, keeping in mind that it has to come from a single brand, it has to stand for that brand value. So
Hmm.
that's how the combinations are put in place.
Correct, correct.
And
Yeah.
also, it's not only domestic market. We are also working for the export and the
Okay.
Japan market. So everything gets included in this.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's fascinating because yeah, when like I'm not like exposed to much of the automobile world, so whenever I have these conversations, it's very fascinating क्योंकि इतने layers हैं, there are so many layers while working within, while in UI UX, yes, we work with a bunch of 10 people, while here, from the paint vendors to, like, it will be crazy, and for me it's becoming
Yes.
very silo right now by thinking of paint only. But yeah, I can get the vastness of it. Okay. um could you tell us a little bit about, like, what's the difference when they say ki manufactured in India versus assembled in India, and then what kind of role designers, at least from India, fit into this setup, right? Like, uh, well, like everything is made here while everything is kind of assembled here. So then, what role a CMF person or a designer generally plays here?
So, regarding this thing, I think India is pretty new in the automotive design field in comparison to the rest of the countries around. So, though the automotive in India started with collaboration with other global brands, and it has also that collaboration has also helped leverage the technical expertise and as well as the design capability, but now it's majorly make in India.
Hmm.
So there
Hmm.
is there is rarely anything which is assembled in India. It's majorly made in India.
Hmm.
And what has
Sorry,
happened is, yeah.
sorry, just one. So when you say assembled in India, uh, at least चेसी इंडिया में बनती है कि like सब कुछ बाहर से आता है, like previously whenever in
Uh-huh.
1990s whenever Maruti like launched 1983 I believe, because that's where I was born. But जब वो like everything put together, everything comes from outside, or there will be still parts and pieces which are completely made here and then other pieces are brought in.
For Maruti, everything is made in India, be
Okay.
it from the engine to the chassis to the final
Hmm.
model.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
everything is made in India.
Okay.
So I think over the period of last 40 years, this level has been achieved. So it is made in India, it is designed in India, and it is manufactured in India. Even the parts and everything is in India.
Wow.
Now the testing and everything is also happening in India. So
Hmm.
we have like huge test facilities that have recently been launched. So it is all happening here.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, and you were saying something. I interrupted.
So when I mean, of course, because India is new to the automotive design in comparison to what the world started long time back. But what has happened is by because it started with a collaboration with the global brand Suzuki. So what has happened is that due to the expertise which has come and due to the Indian expertise which has also been built over time, there is a lot of visibility of that collaboration in the kind of products which are coming out, and it has benefited both the Indian and the global counterpart. And when I talk about designers, what Indian designers are doing in this whole scenario, and I think especially in CMF, with India being such a diverse nation, it it helps when you have a diverse team, and if it helps when you have a team which who knows India by heart, and eventually we're able to serve the customer the kind of products that they are expecting, the kind of taste they are expecting in color and material, and the Indian buyer, they like to be spoiled for choice.
Hmm.
So this is what we are offering them, and being diverse, being having the global expertise plus having the Indian design thinking, we are able to leverage both and come up with the right product. So I
Hmm.
think that is where these collaborations help, and that is where though I mean uh, it started as an assembly sort of a system in the beginning, but now everything has recently, have slowly been come down to getting everything made in India. So due to this sort of a diversity which has happened in the team.
Hmm. Hmm. Got it. And previously, when it was a collaboration, it was due to certain policies, or obviously there will be because of lack of technology. But was it like a policy intervention also? Ki like Suzuki can't just come in and set up their entire thing. They have to collaborate, like the way Starbucks has to like deal with Tata. Is that kind of a collaboration? Like what was the reason behind these collaborations?
I think I was born after Maruti was launched. So
Okay.
I am assuming it would have been a policy decision.
Hmm.
Most of the investments in the country have been a result of these policy decisions.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, that's my understanding.
Got it. Okay. Like we can cut this portion also
Hmm.
to like yeah. Cool. And okay, so what are few of the most iconic or like impactful colors or materials or even finishes that you've been part of? Because when I look at, I was owning a Hyundai car, but yeah, when I saw like two Hyundai cars of different segments, like one premium and one regular, I could definitely feel the difference in the touch of the interiors and so on and so forth. So it made a big impact, right, like on me as a person, when I like, and it in India especially, it tells a lot about your economic status also, as opposed to other factors, which is kind of uh, usability and so on and so forth. So could you, like, any iconic or impact worthy or noticeable work that you were part of, and what makes them special?
Um, I think, yeah, you noticed it correct. There is a very visible difference, and that is what the aim of the designer is. So, I mean, when I started my career with Maruti, I have been very lucky to be a part of some of the very first from coming from the brand. For example, the first SUV Brezza. Uh, Before that, Maruti had never ventured into the SUV segment. It was only about small cars. There was no premium offering from the brand. So the Brezza was the first in a lot of ways. So I think it really shaped my thinking and my career after that. Brezza, I mean, as a product, I one thing which I remember very clearly is it needed a very fresh approach to designing and also its implementation, because coming from a very manufacturing oriented brand, the volume oriented brand. So it needed a fresh approach. It needed to appeal to the customer. And of course, India being a very price sensitive market, it also needed the CMF, the color, material and finish, which are in terms of the sensitivity, they are very very the very very price sensitive. But overall, it has to impress and excite the customer. So that was a very big target to achieve, to connect with the customer aspirations, to understand the customer aspirations, which defined the bold and sporty SUV look that we were trying to create. So eventually, we were able to come up with a very new and very fresh body color, and also the dual tone exteriors. That was a first for Maruti, and that was a first in India from for a volume oriented model. I mean, earlier Indians had seen dual tones, like we have the roof in a black color and body in a different color. Earlier there were models, and globally there were many models, but for a volume oriented brand, it was a first. So it really required a lot of uh, a new and fresh thinking for the production plant as well as for the design team. And also there was a very fresh interior color which was developed for this model. So, and special accent finishes also, and together these things came together and created a very impactful product which was received well in the market. So I think that was something that really pushed me deeper into this field, and really excited me that with all this information and with all this knowledge, we can really build a very impactful product. And overall for the brand also, it worked out pretty well. So I think that is something that I would always cherish.
Hmm, hmm. Yeah, I remember Vitara ka, no, the Brisa ka, like gold metallic is quite different than the rest of it. And I have seen it many times on the road.
Yeah, now this
Yeah.
model has already been through a lot of changes, but what I was talking about was the original, the first Brezza,
Hmm,
which
hmm,
had
hmm.
come.
Hmm,
So
hmm, hmm.
quite
That,
an old model. It was around 2015, if I remember. Yeah, that was
wow,
when it was
that's
launched.
quite old. Huh. I think that time I didn't have a car, but anyway, okay. It's a very wide subject because color, material, finish maybe. But what how do you define a success of anything, right? Like, say, let's take example of color. how, like, in our world of digital, you like get app store ratings and you do surveys, and then you basically, yeah, have a customer care who complain about, like, whatever different issues that they face. So there is a sense of feedback loop. In the automobile world, what is the dominant way that you collect feedback as to, like, this was a good success because either the surveys said yes, or whether it got an award, or whether it got a lot of popularity, just word of mouth. Like, what are the measures for you to define that yes, this was successful?
Uh, of course, awards really do add to the the success of the product as a whole. But when it comes to color design, I think it is not something that you see as a distinct part of the overall product. It is an inherent part of the product. So for me, a good color, in short, it would be the recall value of the color. When
Hmm.
the customer starts associating a brand or a product with a color, I think that is what makes it the good color or the best color. So
Hmm.
that's a perfect recipe for defining what a color is and what a color has done to the brand.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. And then while deciding these colors, do you have like other people into the design team itself who deal with say chemicals, and like chemical engineer hai kya team mein, like, or I don't know what sort of like what sort of other departments or expertise do designers interact with to achieve that final outcome?
I think eventually, I mean, we once the color and the finish is conceptualized, it has to go through the expert material manager. So
Hmm.
there are a lot of teams who deal with plastics, who deal with paints, who are specialized in these dealing. There are a lot of there's a whole set of engineering teams who are working only on these. So they are the ones who actually make sure that whatever the concept has been designed, it is something which is productionable. It is something which passes the stringent automotive test requirements. So there is a constant interaction between the engineers and the design team to achieve the right output. So
Hmm.
I think that part is very very critical for getting the product out in the market onto the vehicle. So it's a very critical field that we have to work with.
Got it. And like, just referring back to the earlier question, right? How does one grow in the design career? So in this case, at least again taking parallel of my world, where I start designing in my early days, I'm pretty much in, say, Photoshop or Figma or these standard tools that we use. But as we grow in our career, to have more control, to have more say, you acquire or you try to learn the other counterparts expertise also. In our case, it's coding. So I not just design, but I also code so that I can finally control the outcome or the output, not the outcome, but the output of the thing that I'm making. So in this, do designers move to these material expertise?
Uh, there is one way of looking at it that designers move to the material expertise. The other way of looking at it is that we have such diverse team that we have material experts coming over into the team, or we collaborate with such material experts and try and innovate in the material itself. So being a specialized field, it is not really something that we can completely get into. But
Hmm.
yes, once we collaborate, there is a lot of to and fro of information which happens, and eventually we have to learn the basic essence of the material innovation or the engineering which goes behind in the material to
Hmm.
really enable us to think in terms of achieving the right intent. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of overlap of knowledge which eventually happens once you work closely with the teams.
Got it. So as a lead or as a head of design, nobody is like in the career ladder, there is no definition or there's no hard requirement that to become a lead you need to also understand materials. You can constantly collaborate all throughout your career. Is that correct understanding?
In terms of
In terms of
like,
hard skill, yeah, in terms of
yeah,
hard
in terms
skill.
of hard skill, it is about, you can learn it on the go. That is okay. It is not like a requirement as such
Okay.
that you have to be, you have to have that educational background behind you to get
Hmm.
into that field. So it's not
Right.
a hard and fast rule for that. But yeah, I mean, depending on each individual's personal interest also, and the kind of, knowledge you can build on, the kind of skills that you can build on while on the job. So that really impacts what the, in which direction you want to take your learning.
Yeah. Got it. So speaking about skills, what are the new skills that are becoming increasingly important, especially when now electric vehicles are coming, right? So in terms of say sustainable technologies, like what happens in that realm where designers are still probably in the early stage of visualizing and probably creating prototypes, but then when it moves to the other parts, how is that collaboration happening, and what new things a designer is like unfolding as we move towards better technologies?
That is a very very difficult question to answer as on date,
Hmm.
because I'll talk from CMF point of view right now. So when it comes to CMF design, the concept of the future, the electric, I mean, it does have a very very tangible impact on what we are doing in terms of CMF. And right now, this stage is an absolute flux. There is absolute mayhem around in this field, because mainly because right now sustainability is at the center of all the discussions, be it electric, be it autonomous, or be it connected or shared. So everything revolves around, that the whole crux is coming down to sustainability. But the expectations of premiumness, premium look and feel, the durability, and of course cost effectiveness have still not gone by. So on
Hmm.
one side there is sustainability, and then on the other side there is, premium look and feel. You have to be durable, you have to be a cost effective, you have to give a cost effective offering. So they are also still there. So with all these keywords floating around, autonomous, connected, electric, shared, there are new expectations which are stemming out of all these points. And of course, going forward, a lot of focus on thoughtful, creative, and responsible CMF is what is required to be looked at. And so I would say, I mean, currently, the situation that we are in, it has never been more challenging as ever.
Hmm.
so from CMF design, because it is very very directly impacted by all these discussions, by all these trends. So it has become quite a challenge right now to get to the right material, the right color, the right finish for the future models.
Hmm. So when you say sustainability, is it only because earlier say paints or materials or even plastic, the way it is generated, the way it is made, were following a different supply chain model, uh, but to like to move the bar in terms of better look and feel, better quality, yet retaining the cost and being sustainable. So ye teen, like this three parallels are working in tandem with the old legacy kind of automation and the logistics. Is that a challenge, or purely innovation keeping the cost low is a challenge? Like where is the exact, or is there any exact point?
It is actually, I mean, yeah, there are a few things which you mentioned, which are actually the main thing. There is a lot of innovation happening in material. There is no dearth of innovation. But when it comes to automotive as a category, as a product category, it is a very very difficult product category, precisely because of the kind of stringent tests which required for the automotive product. So that is one challenge, and of course, being India being a cost sensitive market, and the brand is also a very very cost sensitive and a volume oriented brand. So getting the right mix of the premium look through color, material, finish, but being sustainable in their own ways. So for each brand, they're trying to be sustainable in their own ways. So when it comes down to material, how and how best you can get the correct mix is a challenge. So you have to analyze. I mean, though there is a lot of options which are available, but maybe for automotive not everything is readily usable. For automotive, everything is does not have a very very set supply chain. So getting all that in line so that the product is readily manufacturable and out there, when since it's in the market, there are no issues which are being faced by the customers. So that becomes very critical for us to define the kind of right color, the kind of material which we are able to use. There is a lot of available materials, but what you are actually able to use in automotive is what becomes a challenge.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. Actually, I should have asked this question right in the beginning, but never mind. Yeah. Overall, when you say CMF, what all does it comprise? Right? Like bahar ka color hai. Like I'm just putting it very simply for me to understand. There's a outer color. There's an inner color. So that's overall the body and the exterior and the interior color. Then there is material. So does like do you also define the kind of hardness that steering plastic should have, and the dashboard should have, and the armrest and everything to do with that also, or like where are, like if you could give like a what all is in your jurisdiction?
So very broadly saying, the outer color which the customer sees on the body, that is a part of our main work area.
so
The
so for
inner,
ex- so
yeah,
sorry, for example, then हमने बोला sunroof चाहिए, तो then also that becomes part of like what glass or what material to use if that model has a sunroof.
yeah. So I mean, specific to such a question, I mean, I think when you have a sunroof, how much transparency that sunroof should have, what kind of the curtain should come under the sunroof, what kind
Hmm.
of touch and feel it should have. So those things become our
Wow.
our core area, a core
Hmm.
work area.
Huh,
And
huh.
when it comes to interior, all the touch points that the customer will face, one is of course the color of the dashboard and the color of the seats, but what kind of texture, what kind of softness, what kind of material, what kind of textures which it should have, all those become the details of our work.
Hmm.
So the kind of grain which should go onto the plastic, or if it's a soft sort of a dashboard, then what level of softness it should have, what kind of color, what kind of grain, if it's a stitch line, those details, how much the thickness the stitch should have, or what sort of a color of stitch line, how much contrast, how much color it should have. So those
Hmm.
kind of details is what we have to get in. When you talk about I mean, the main usage area, like you have the steering, the customer is holding the steering throughout the driving experience. So what should be the touch and feel, what kind of material can be used on that.
Hmm.
So all those become the core work areas, because those really impact the customer experience while driving the vehicle, while
Hmm.
getting in and out of the vehicle.
Got it.
What sort of rear seat experience the customer should have, what sort of front seat experience the customer should have. So all
Hmm.
those becomes the details. So it is a very very detailed work area, and that's why I said you need a lot of diverse and multidisciplinary skill set in this area.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
that really works for us if we have such a team.
Got it. मैं और थोड़ा like I have few follow up on that little small one. So the bottle holder will be uh like your decision. Like कितने रखने हैं, क्या size का रखना है, everything.
Not really, but the kind of graphics which goes onto the bottle holder, the kind of
Okay.
some interest element that we are trying to trying to align with a feature, with a usable feature in the interior.
Hmm.
So those
Hmm.
things become our work area. How we want to make it more exciting for the customer who's using it, so we
Got it.
build in that excitement through color, material, and finish.
Hmm.
if,
Got
the,
it.
if there is
So
any if there is any sort of a interesting detail which we want to put under the area, once the customer takes out the bottle and he sees some interest element, some easter eggs which you say in the interior.
correct.
So
Correct.
that's
Correct.
what we try and give it.
Nice, nice. So I'm just making it foolproof for my understanding. Though, like the Tesla has the door handle, which is which sticks to the body, right? Now that's a design call which somebody else must have taken. But or for example, Maruti, the handle जो ऐसे pull होता है, like which is sticking out of the body, तो दैट्स अ डिजाइन कॉल विच समबडी एल्स हैज टेकन, बट वो सिल्वर में चाहिए कि वो ब्लैक में चाहिए अकॉर्डिंग टू द क्रोम ऑफ अदर पार्ट्स, दैट इज योर कॉल. इज दैट अ फेयर
Yeah.
अंडरस्टैंडिंग?
Yes, almost there.
Got it. Okay.
Almost there.
Cool. I think, yeah, it's endless. I can have like hours and hours of questions to for me to understand. But last two questions. So, any major trends that are shaping the industry, apart from EV? Also, like recently, I found out that one person had come and he was just sticking the gun, a small gun, to the car, and he touched multiple parts, and he said, in this portion there was an insurance. And I said, how did you know that this is a paint job which was done? Because the original is like zero point 0.4 mm thickness of color, but when they do it over again, it sometimes becomes 0 point whatever 7 micron and 10 micron. So I understood that by just changing the micron level of the color, the car weight can change, right? So when it comes to EV, you want it more lightweight. So any nuances like these where the new trends are kind of emerging and posing different challenges for designers?
Yes, there is quite a lot of the new innovations which have recently happened, and it has totally changed the scenario and the kind of experience which the customer is seeking. Some of them are, there's a lot of authentic materials which has come up. When I say authentic, actually using real wool, real husk in the plastic. So a lot of usage of authentic materials. The interiors are becoming very very tech heavy. That's why the UI UX has boomed in the last a few years. So with the tech heavy interiors, what sort of an implication it will have on the color, material, and finish of the overall interior? That's really really, I mean, changed the overall perception of the interior. We have smart surfaces. That's also, I think, starting from the consumer electronics, it has now come down to automotive interiors as well. So smart surfaces, and also there is somewhere there is a thirst of color and self expression.
Hmm.
This has recently, I mean, after the COVID scenario, there is a sudden thirst of color and self-expression, which is also coming up as a need of the market. So these are some of the major trends which have recently shaped up or shaken up the CMF for the automotive. And in future, we have to cater to these needs. We are already doing it at some level, but this is going to rise even more, and this will shape up the kind of the choices of color, material, and textures that we have been doing till now, and what will we be doing for the future market.
Got it.
So very very important factors, and I think these are the, most of the industries are being impacted by these factors, and CMF being of course one of the specialization for that.
Got it. And when you said self-expression, what does it mean exactly?
uh, if till last year, if you see, there was I mean, just a very interesting fact that there was a very there was a lot of preference of very very muted colors because people were scared to really, they didn't want to get into a very bright and a very cheerful. The overall mode was very, very muted
Hmm.
globally. So now after that phase is still there, it's almost going down. So again there will be a sudden burst of self expression. There will be a need, I mean there is a constant need of self expression in the upcoming youth category, which is the Gen Z. So going
Hmm.
forward, if we have to target our products to that particular young market, I think there is a lot of desire for self expression, and color being a very important part of self expression. I think we will have to rethink the kind of treatments that we had been giving in the interior and exterior, and it will open up a lot of opportunity for doing something totally out of the box. So that
Hmm.
is what I meant by self expression.
Got it. Yeah, I remember. In fact, I was discussing this with few of my friends. In Rocky and Rani, there is a, I think, purple or a pink Range Rover. It's kind of like never Range Rover will like just,
Yes.
yeah. I think I get it. Yeah. Cool. I want to conclude with one last question. Is in this 10-part series, I was fortunate to have four women designers, and you're one of them. In fact, as per the D resource repository, only two women designers out of 19 automotive designers in India. I'm sure there are a lot of them, but like, two which could go on that record. Could you talk a little bit about like gender diversity, and especially you said so multidisciplinary designers are required. Like, what's your observation with the industry at large? With respect to diversity and gender ratio especially, and any, yeah, I'll ask this and then maybe follow up with like your challenges being a woman in the man's world. So first, like, what's your observation in terms of having a good gender diversity, at least in India?
So I think there has never been a better time for a woman to be in automotive. So this is what I would say right now, uh, because with more and more women on board, and I have observed that I mean precisely the diverse teams, wherever there are diverse teams, they perform better. Uh, Mainly because it brings multiple perspectives onto the table. So that is the very, very basic premise. And coming to automotive design and the women in automotive design, I think it has seen a huge transformation since the last 15 years. I have seen this industry growing. So it requires a broad range of skills now, right now, than it did maybe some 15 years ago. So there, I mean, design definitely it needs a multidisciplinary skill set, and women being the multitasker on house, so they, I think they end up getting that skill set much better than the other gender. So that's what I have learned from my experience and my time in Maruti. And plus, I think there are not two, but there are quite a lot of women in this field right now, specifically design. In our team only, I think we had like a majority of female members and a very few men. But we are trying
Yes.
to get into a more diverse team right now. But I mean, be it design or be it any other field which is related to automotive, I think if you're ambitious and if you're looking to make a mark, there are ample opportunities around, and
Hmm.
companies are very, very open to hiring female members on board.
Hmm.
So there's no one stopping you.
Hmm. But any particularly any challenges because of I don't know. I'm not in that part and not like can't empathize with that gender. But any other peculiar challenges when you started off, or you see that there are these challenges for. I'll give you a context, right? Um, in this series, I spoke to Ruchita Madhok, and she said very beautifully in the end. She asked me, in fact, give me five graphic designer names who are above 40. And frankly, I couldn't think of more than two. And she said, then what is happening, like at NID or NIFT or IDC or Srishti. At least he referred to NID, where 60% of the student are uh, women or girls, right? Now, where are they after 4 years, after getting married, after entering the workforce, and what's happening? Like, if there's 60%, which is more, in education, why can't we see them in actual workforce, right? So I'm sure there will be some challenges which we didn't get into, but in this world, especially when we see all the Tata and very masculine kind of brands and other places, I don't know whether I'm making sense, but you know what I mean, right? Like, there are certain challenges for women, I'm sure. And have you observed anything?
I think, yeah, I mean, that's something which is there overall in all the fields which are there. But yes, automotive specifically, it is majorly a man's world. But what has happened is in CMF, it is an area which has been recognized as a more something which only a women designer can have an expertise in. So,
Hmm.
but it's not fair to really, it's not really fair to really, relate it to a gender, be it automotive design or be it CMF design. It's not fair from what I feel. But yes, we have seen we have seen the numbers growing over time. It's been 13 years that I've spent in this company, and I've seen the people around me. I've seen what's happening in other OEMs as well. So the numbers have been constantly growing, and there are a lot of right now. I mean, uh, I can say for sure that in all the other Indian OEMs, the CMF team has a lot of female members, and very proudly, I mean, it's very proud to see, they have grown with the brand, they have grown with the company, and they are they are able to, they have been able to make a mark in the company.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of women designers in this particular field, and I would personally not, try and relate it to a gender. It's not something which we want to do, because from our side also we are trying our best to have a very very diverse team. So it
Correct.
it should not be something which is a very gender specific role. But yes,
Correct.
when I had started my career, uh, the numbers were very very less. There were only far and few women members that we would find in the overall company.
Hmm.
And being a production setup, I think, again, it led to a lot of more men being around rather than having more women members. So but things have changed, times have
Sure.
changed. So as I said, there has never been a better time to be in automotive than right now. So already the base is there, and we do, when we go around for hiring new freshers, we do not see them, thinking in this, or constraining themselves, that
Gender.
since it's an automotive design company, maybe it's not okay for a women employee to be there. We do not find that constraint in the young designers mind, so we also do not want to create those constraints.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's something which positive which has happened over time,
Got it.
and I would like this trend to continue.
Absolutely. Cool. One last question. Any advice, tips, suggestions you would like to give young designers entering in the world of
I
automobile
think,
design, obviously? Yeah.
yeah, I think there's a lot to be done. So, and there are a lot of ideas which are required by the brands right now, and I think it's a very very interesting and a very very vast field, because the boundaries are very blur in this.
Hmm.
Sometime you are thinking like a brand manager, the next day you're thinking like a color designer, and then you also have to bring in the knowledge of a material innovation engineer. So I think the boundaries are blurred, so it really needs a very cross functional approach to design. So if the new designers, I mean, if they think they can do it, they can take the challenge. It is quite a challenging field for sure. So if they can take a challenge, I mean, I think it's the best thing that they can do for their career.
Awesome. On that positive note and encouraging point, we can conclude this. Thanks, Akanksha, for giving your time. It was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you, Kedar. Thank you for calling me here. Thank you.
Yeah, just one second. I'll just finish this. Um, I wish to once again thank Godrej Design Lab for bringing you this episode. Godrej Design Lab is an initiative of Godrej and Boyce, launched in 2014. Today, GDL continues with intention of making life brighter and better through exploring how design impacts our life and how it can make it better. The team at GDL is focused on engaging the community through thought provoking events, supporting upcoming talent, and showcasing how design innovation can create better products and systems. Do follow us on Instagram at Godrej Design Lab and Audiogan Podcast, or you can check out Audiogan Podcast on YouTube as well. Uh, Akanksha, how do people follow you? How do people uh, know about your work? I've already added show notes, all the links in the show notes, but any particular place that you look for talent, you kind of want to interact with people?
I think LinkedIn would be the right place.
Got
So
it. Okay.
yeah.
I'll add that. Okay. Thanks a lot. And thanks once again for being on the show. And that's it from today's GAN session. For show notes and more GAN, visit audiogan.com. And if you wish to connect with me, I am at audiogan moments on Instagram. Until then, take care.